Psalm 133. Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments. As the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion, for there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life forevermore.
Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works.
You know what I'm saying? Airports were packed. Bro? Flights are packed. They were given, there's no such thing as that middle seat. The flights are packed. They're putting, like we said, butt to cheeks. Seats to cheeks, whatever it is the thing we have it. But I was kind of, especially Dallas. Oh my God, it was very packed. It felt, you can see the people, they're adapting to the corona. Everybody wearing the mask. Everybody utilizing the hand sanitizer. Every time I see people walking, getting up, every time they got something that either stairs or they got on the train, got off, they used everybody using hand sanitizer. I was very impressed. A lot of people say not to leave, not lock yourself in. I understand that. I do. If there's always things, but life has to continue. Adapt. You got to adapt to the enemy. You got to learn the enemy to know how to overcome it. That's mostly the message I put in the face. And the reason why is we cannot live in a land of fear. United States is a land of free. That's it's like you telling me, one of us, you tell us, oh, don't go down that road because you're going to get shot. Well, our job is to go out there and fight the enemy. My job is not to sit home and wait for the enemy. No. As soldiers, that's what we do. We're always led by example. And I think by doing the correct thing, wearing our PPEs or whatever it is that, we never wait outside the wire without gloves, eye pros, nut protectors, throat protectors, everything, right? We hated it, but we had to wear it. Yeah. And we, just to balance the threat. Same thing we go out there. But one thing, at least people were being conscious about it and were able to wear it just to make a little bit more at ease on everybody. So I'm kind of glad to see that. I know some cities are talking about how everything's going up on scale and whatever it is, but one thing is because it's not going up now. It's been going up and down. It's just now we're covering because some part of the election is done. So at the end of the day, my message is to be be considerate. Do the right thing, but don't be scared to do, to live your life. Just be if you have some conditions, make sure you cover yourself or do whatever you got to do to be safe for yourself and to others. But at the end of the day, life goes on. We're gonna keep moving. The sun keeps going up and down. Nothing's stopping it. So I was very happy to see that today, seeing people out there.
Oh, I agree. Amen to that.
It sounds like the same message that the president has been communicating for quite some time now.
Oh, yes, sir.
I think it's a little bit different, but
I don't know.
I don't know what president you've been listening to, man. But
let's talk about this. The president.
Let's talk about it.
That we can afford to allow the economy to be shut down, and we should take steps to put pieces in place and measures in place to mitigate the threat, right? So, is that not what the president saying, Abel? What are you hearing? That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, man. So the president has never said anything about shutting down. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to more of, is the way Mendes approaches the mask wearing. He understands the way he compared it to the analogy of us being soldiers and knowing, hey, there's things that we don't like, but for the overall good, we just fucking do it. Excuse my language, but we just do it. You know what I mean? And I think that that's a key difference, is that tonality is key. The message you're giving across is key. That as leaders, we can easily give a tone or like, oh yeah, we got to wear that. That's BS. You know what I mean? Which, and you know, and I know that does not foster.
It's not leadership.
Not that leadership, man.
Purpose, direction, and motivation, right?
It's like, you know, I was thinking about it. You know, even as he's talking, you know, I hear often, man, they're imposing on our freedoms by making us wear these masks and blah blah blah. I said, listen, man, for the overall good of society, wear the mask. You know, for the overall good of society, you shouldn't be drinking and driving either. You know what I mean? No one's saying you can't drink. You can definitely drink, just don't drive, right?
Right.
No one's saying you can't go anywhere. Just put on a mask. You know what I mean? For right now. You know what I mean? And I guess that's where the tone comes, the message comes, the overall mission at hand. If the overall mission at hand is to keep a productive economy, to keep people not living in, you know, if your choice is not to go out, yeah, you know, you have to live on. You have to keep moving forward. You know what I mean? And you take the necessary steps. So in my household, if we used to go out, say, I don't know, if I used to take my entire family to the store 3 times a week,
right,
I'm just going to minimize it to 1. You know what I mean? I'm going to do my part. I mean, that's just for our own safety, you know, because I still don't know what's going on with this stuff. I mean, I personally, I mentioned before, I personally know people that passed away from coronavirus, you know, 2 people that, you know, people that I played music with, you know, and so for me, it's real. And so for me, it's like, look, I'm gonna wear the mask. You know what I mean? I don't know. Even if it reduces the chances by 2%, I'll wear the mask, bro.
Right.
I mean, that's just you know what I mean? Like I'm a stretch after going for a run. Some people feel like they need to stretch longer. Whatever. I'm gonna stretch a bit. They say it's helpful. I've never really had to do it, but I do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of one of those things.
I've been stretching since 2013.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about the stretching part. That really works. My trainer always taught me, before you do a workout, stretch. Before you do anything, stretch. Get those legs and limbs up and running and the blood flowing. But now, as far as the greater good, what is the greater good of society? I mean, what does that mean?
Absolutely. I think that's a great question.
And
it is, yeah.
Because, I mean, you look at masks, 85% of people who contract the virus were wearing masks. So masks don't work if that's the ultimate goal.
But the mask, and correct me if I'm wrong, is not designed for you not to contract it. It's for those that are asymptomatic, that are carrying the virus, to minimize them spreading it. I'm not saying that the mask is going to protect you, Billy, from contracting it. What's going to protect you from any disease is what? Washing your hands. That's anything. The flu, staying away from sick people. I mean, right? It's self-care. It's self-care. It's like, what's going to help minimize cancer? I'm not going to smoke. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take care of my body. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take some vitamins. That's what I'm getting at. I think the script is flipped, you know?
The cancer part, that's interesting, because a lot of the food that we eat got particles or chemicals in it that causes cancer. McDonald's.
Absolutely. That is true. But that's
okay. Whataburger better not be, because if Whataburger has cancer, I'm sorry, I'm going for it. If I see a Whataburger, I'm stopping.
Hey, you know what? What's up with California? They have all these signs on the buildings that, you know, there are carcinogens in the building. It seemed like everywhere I went to do laundry in the apartment complex, and it had this big sign, hey, you know, just want to let you know that you can catch cancer, you know, and by coming in this building. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do my wash at this point, right?
Well, I think too, Bush, I think every state's a little bit different. I noticed that when I grew up in California, and then I went to Washington State, okay? Now, right now, lately, they've lined up a lot more together, okay? But, and maybe more in store, but I'll tell you what, California over-discloses. They over-disclose on everything.
Right.
From
why is that? Why do they do that?
Loan documents to ratings on restaurants to warning labels, they just over-disclose. Everyone knows in the business that California has even more rules. Why? I don't know if it's a suit-happy area. Maybe it has to do with it. I'm just guessing. Yeah, I'm just guessing. I mean, think about it. A lot of actors, celebrities have all gone to LA. You know what I mean? Right. And so, and how many businesses probably haven't gotten in trouble for that? So it's just a state that has over-disclosure, man. They have so much of that, you know, and that's also at the same time why people don't like it, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah, I found that interesting when I was there for 2 years. I was like, Okay, you know.
We have a lot
Hey,
of.
but hey, let's go back real quick before we go off track about Billy's question. What is the greater good? Because I think that's a good question to be able to really to try to dissect or answer.
The greater good of society. Was that the question? What is the greater good pertaining to society?
Yeah, and then how do you achieve that? I mean, what's the ultimate goal? We're talking about a vaccine here for the coronavirus, which is very similar to the flu, which we have a vaccine for the flu, and it still kills tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people a year. I mean, what's the ultimate goal of it? Is it just to make people feel good? There's a vaccine out there.
Well, that's different right now. Going for what's the greater good to go into the vaccine, because I mean, when we talk about the greater good, it's about how is society being able to. Right now, we're going through a transition, whether we like it or not, which is the COVID. And right now, people have seen from business to personal life have overnight literally transitioning into a whole different type of way of life. I.e., that's what we were talking about, one of them being the mask, right? They say, let's go with the mask because that's mostly something that we can probably say is nationwide, you know, because so when it comes to restaurant closure, whatever, that's all state mandated. But at least with the recommendation that the federal government is giving, because remember, the federal government only is giving a recommendation to you to use the mask. The state is the one implementing, or your local government is the one implementing the actual mandate, jurisdiction. So what's one thing to definitely, we have to make sure we understand the difference between all three layers of government and what's authorities under each government. Now, when we go about the greater good, we're going to look at that overall. So when I'm looking at the federal government side of the house. So if the federal government is recommending a specific thing that needs to be done, I, as a leader, for example, military background, whether I like it or not, my job is to make sure I demonstrate the regulations and policies that I'm supposed to be following. So if me as a leader am not following the regulation, how do I expect my subordinates to do it also? So that's my point of view is like I see how people, at least in a federal environment, what is the airport, are no issues wearing the mask because they know if they want to get on that plane, they got to wear the mask. You know what I mean? So they're willing to they're willing to adjust to that to be able to fly. Back then, the worry of 3 months ago was like, I don't know if I'm going to fly because I'm going to get COVID. That is not the mentality right now in society for what I just saw today. People are flying because they want to fly. They want to go and keep living their life. 3 months ago, they were not getting on the plane because they were scared of a virus. You know what I mean? But if you would have told them 3 months ago, like they were telling you can fly with your mask on and this and gloves and blasting, middle seat open, people were still not getting on the plane. Now they don't care about the middle seat. You know what I'm trying to say? So the mentality of the society is starting to change at a larger scale. So we can see how the mandate is trying to implement to control a local or state government wise, but the federal government is not going to do that. They're just going to give that recommendation. At a federal level, you're going to see then whether you think those, for example, the stewardess don't want to wear a mask. You know what I'm trying to say? Then they're on the plate at least 10 hours a day. You know what I'm trying to say? And they're always with those things on. So they are always wearing it. If they're wearing it, why can't I wear it for 2 hours to make sure that the person left or right of me, who is probably coming out of that scaredness of the COVID, feels a little bit more secure? And it's going to be a layer. It's going to be a transition because probably in the next quarter, we might be flying without masks. And it might not be a mandatory to fly, but it'll be a recommendation. But I think layers has to be put in place so society can feel more open to continue living, because if the fear keeps coming in, I don't see them, we're not going to be progressing at all.
Well, here's the other thing too, Mendez, is that, there's always a saying, you never know what other people are going through. And I've said this before, you don't know what this has played on people's mental state. You know what I mean? If someone is fearful in itself, they struggle with, anxieties or whatever, and they see someone without a mask, I mean, they're trying to get out in society too. It's out of grace too. It's out of respect, just, we never know, man. You know what I mean? It may help somebody else be a functioning citizen in this country. You know what I mean? That's what service dogs do. That's what, and so for us, instead of being divisive, in my opinion, or being championing division, it's like, hey, you know what? It's not taking any, it's not robbing my birthday, that's just a thought.